This particular tool we call submodalities, and we've learnt what modalities actually are, and they are the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, and the auditory digital. But what we're going to be utilising is 3 of these modalities, the VAK, so the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. But we're going to get into the submodalities, so we're going to get deeper into these things, such as visual. When we create a picture, it is either going to be black and white, sepia, or colour. If we look at the size of the picture, it could be this big, it could be this big, or it could be this big. It could be here, it could be there. It could be 3-dimensional, or it could be flat. It could be panoramic, you know, like this, like we're looking through our own eyes. Or it could be framed. Each one of these submodalities determines how we think of things. So, for example, if you have a vision of your future, how you store those submodalities in your neurology determines whether you get it or whether you don't. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through these submodalities. I'm going to explain how these submodalities can change to affect how you actually think. So these submodalities, we are going to get a food or a drink that you don't want to have anymore, and we're going to find out what are the submodalities, the way that you code and store that food or that drink. And when we discover the map, how you code and store that drink, we can tamper with that. We can play around with those submodalities. We can bring a picture in, we can make it bigger, we can change it from black and white to colour, and that will change your neurology. It will change how you code and store that particular food or drink. Submodalities equally are hugely useful. In Masters, we use this differently. In Masters, instead of us grabbing things and taking something from what we like to what we dislike, in Masters now we're installing. So you can actually change how you see yourself using submodalities, and that's what we do in Masters. So the distinction between this level and Masters is this level is more about getting rid of stuff and changing stuff. Masters is more about choosing how you want to be and now installing stuff. Just as a blanket description. So submodalities is hugely powerful and hugely valuable. You can use them in so many different ways. This is the building blocks. Submodalities are the building blocks of how you experience you. So let me get into this, just so you can fully understand this. So what you're getting here is a remote control. So submodalities are like fine-tuning a television. So you remember when televisions used to have vertical flip, and they used to go from colour to black and white, and you know there are all sorts of little dials and levers that change the picture somewhat. That's what submodalities in fact are. So they're fine-tuning the TV set of your mind. So submodalities, as I mentioned earlier, it's how we code and store. How we actually code and store concepts in our mind. And when we utilise these, the VAKAD of the submodalities, then essentially we can kind of change our representation, how we represent things. So you change the submodalities, you change the experience. So submodalities, visual submodalities for example, look a bit like this. So what you see is you're looking at the descriptions of a picture. So the picture can be black and white or colour, it can even be sepia tone. It can be near or far away, it can be bright or dim, it can have a specific location. What I mean by that is it could be there, it could be there, it could be there, it could be there. The size of the picture can be big, can be tiny, it can have a shape to it. Now, let me explain what this means, associated or disassociated. What I'm introducing you to now are some neuro-linguistic programming terminology. And associated simply means that when we are looking through our own eyes, that is associated. We are associated with that picture. We are part of the picture, because without us being here, we do not have the eyes, we do not see. But to be disassociated, like in the distance, it means we are now not here, we are here. We are in the picture. So if we are in the picture, we are disassociated. Now what I'm giving you right now is the formula, some of the formulas to change our experience. For example, disassociation. If a person is in extreme emotion, they are more likely to be associated. The moment that they see themselves in the picture being disassociated, their emotion diminishes because now they're the observer. Does that make sense to you? So these things I'm giving you, remember, this level of NLP training is the foundation. It's building, it's giving you the foundation. So once you know these things, it starts getting really clever, because you can do all sorts of things knowing these things. So if I have someone who is closed eye and in a process, and they're crying and falling apart, metaphorically, and what you want is you want them, or they want them, to start to get back into control, all you have to do is say, now what I want you to do is see yourself in the picture. Just, can you see yourself now in the picture? The moment you do that, typically what will happen is their emotion will begin to dissipate, and they will start to calm down, or start to certainly control themselves. If they don't, it means that they haven't done what you've asked them to do.
So at what extreme falling apart do you mean? Like severe crisis, or just someone that's in the middle of a counselling session and starting to get really quite emotional with it?
Well, it depends on how much control you can garner. Because if someone is in extreme, and I mean extreme, you would have seen some extreme in your line of work. The hard part is getting their attention in the first place.
You've almost got to break it.
Exactly. You almost got to...
pattern interrupt?
Yeah, you've got to pattern interrupt. So if you don't break it, of course, they're still in their stuff, so you haven't yet got their attention. If you get their attention, enough to be able to get them to close their eyes and see themselves in the picture,
Makes sense.
then they can diminish their emotions, and they will start to gather some control of their emotions, and they will metaphorically be able to rise above it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Remember when I said earlier, how does someone get over it? Well, here's the formula. You can actually get over it if you have a strategy. And this is a particular strategy. So that's one particular description that you need to know. Focused or defocused just simply means that the picture is a bit hazy or fuzzy or not very clear. And focused, of course, is. The focus could be changing, going in of focus, out of focus, or very steady. It's either defocused the entire time or focused the entire time. Then you get framed or panoramic, and again, even though I've said this once, I've got to give this to you again so you fully get this. Panoramic is like, if you are looking out of your eyes right now, that's panoramic. You can see there, you can see there, you can see there, and there. It's not really in a frame. But framed means that the picture, all of a sudden, now seems to have borders. It doesn't have to be a square, it could be a circle, it could be any shape. But it seems to have some borders. It could be dark or black around here. Now, as I'm describing this, what I'm talking about is if you were to close your eyes, what will happen is you will either see a picture really clearly in your mind's eye, or you won't. If you do not, you will still be able to get a sense of a picture. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah? So some people are highly visual. When I was highly visual, I used to close my eyes and I could see a very detailed picture when I was highly visual. As I got to a point where I became more kinesthetic, I now close my eyes and I can no longer see pictures really clearly. What I can see is the light coming through my eyelids. So I'm going to get bits of purple, bits of red, bits of black, and it's going to be, but I cannot see a picture. I can see the back of my eyelids, yes, but I cannot see a picture. But if you ask me to, I'll think of a concept, and we're just going to play with this for a little bit. I'll think of a concept. Concept is freedom. I'm going to close my eyes, and now what I've got is actually I've got this logo, this device. That's what I can see. I can see something like that. I can see a beach. It's a movie. I can see the grasses moving in the wind, and I can smell it. I can taste it even. I've got a sense of what I personally am representing freedom. Now, if you ask me, how big is that picture? It's that big. It's about that high. So it is framed. It's actually framed. But it's a movie. It's moving. It's not three-dimensional. It's actually flat. Now, the question is, are you making that up? The answer is, I have. At some level, I've made it up. But to me, that's what springs to mind when I think of the concept of freedom. So what I'm going to get you all to do, and I don't normally do this in class because there are a lot more people in the room, but there's only a few here. So what I'm going to get you to do is I want you to think of freedom. And just close your eyes now and let the first picture that springs to mind when you think of freedom. The very first picture that springs to mind when you think of freedom. Okay, you got it. So, I want you to ask yourself, is it colour or black and white? Is it close to you or far away? Is it panoramic or is it framed? Is it moving or is it still? Is it associated, that is, looking through your own eyes, or is it disassociated? You can see yourself in the picture. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, now Sam, you got yours first, so what was your picture? And by the way, if I'm asking you questions like this and it's really personal, just simply say it's personal, and then I don't need to know the answer.
Panoramic, colour, detailed, flying above the Yarra Valley, associated.
Yeah, okay.
So valley, mountains, sky,
yeah,
greenery.
Cool. Awesome. So that was the picture that you got from freedom.
Correct.
Yeah. Awesome.
I was in a car driving, the first person view. It was a movie, and then it changed from first person to disassociation, so I could see myself driving on the highway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
It was 3D, it was colour, I was associated with it, it was in focus. I went full sensorial spectrum too, not just visual,
Yeah.
feel where they're moving past.
Right. And what was the actual picture itself?
Running down a forest path.
Okay. Cool. Excellent.
Mine was colour, it was near, it was fuzzy, associated, bright.
So what is happening through our day-to-day experience is these things are happening unconsciously. Like when we think of things, we will get pictures in our mind, and we will, it's almost like we become our own clairvoyants. We predict what is going to happen in the future. So it comes on like a black and white or a colour or near and far, etc., etc. And what happens is we then make that a reality. Now, it doesn't mean that those pictures that we get, that's the reality we create. It's just they are representations of that concept, and the concept was freedom, yes? Equally the food. Your food will be the same, or your drink will be the same. It will have some form of submodalities to it. Now, typically when we do this process, we start off with a picture. We say, okay, close your eyes, get a picture. You know, is it? And then we go through and just simply ask, is it black and white colour, is it near or far, bright or dim, moving or still, panoramic or frame, location of it, etc., etc. Does it have a bin with wheels? You know, and so, can we just close that door if you wouldn't mind? Thank you. I like this room, but the one disadvantage is you get so many distractions.
That's all our rubbish and garbage bin.
That's it, nice metaphor. So, equally, when we have this picture, there will be a relationship. Now this, by the way, my friends, is where it's really going to feel like you're making it up. So the thing that's really important with this is I'm going to ask you a question in a moment, and I want you to go with your very first answer. In fact, don't think about it. And I mean don't. Just let yourself go. The very first concept springs to mind. Now, this is really key, because as we start going through many of these processes and techniques, there is no logic to them. Do not expect logic from this, but it works. The reason I say that is because if we were to do things in a logical way, we'd be in the conscious mind. And we're not really wanting to work on the conscious mind, we're wanting to work on the unconscious mind. So what will come of this is it'll feel like a guess. So you'll just feel like you're guessing. So the way that I'm going to get you to do this is I want you to get that picture back. So close your eyes, get that picture back, and then I'm going to ask you, as you look at this picture, where do you feel it in your body? And point to it now, without thinking. Okay, now stay frozen, open your eyes. Now have a look where, now we've got here the gut, we've got here, we've got gut again, up there, we've got pancreas, and we've got there. So we're getting very specific. You know, from this perspective, what we have is you are all pointing to different parts of your bodies. So equally, those things have submodalities too. And if I can move on to those, there is equally, these are auditory submodalities. So these are different again. So there's location. So location of sound. Where's it coming from? Where's the sound coming from? The direction of the sound. We know where it is, but is it coming forward or away from us? Is it internal? Is it in our head or is it outside our head? Is it loud or soft? Is it fast or slow? Is the pitch high or low? The tonality of it. It's got more bass than treble. Is there a timbre to it? What is the timbre? Which timbre is the quality of the sound? Garbled, raspy, to really clear and clean. Then there's pauses. Are there pauses in the sound? Cadence. Now, some of these elements I've pulled out of the submodalities because they don't make a huge difference. But sometimes we need them as a distinction. Cadence is just, let's say you got your volume here. Cadence is how quickly it drops off. So it could be versus and that's a sharp cadence, or quick cadence, that's a long extended cadence. Does that make sense? That's it. You're trying it out. Then there's a duration of the sound and uniqueness of the sound. So these are the submodalities of auditory. And by the way, you do not have to remember these. These are all in your manual. And you will be using pages from your manual to do this exercise. Then there's these. Now these are kinesthetic submodalities. So there's a location. You identified that. Here, 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 here. That's the location. Then there's the size of the feeling. And so you would have some sort of size of the feeling. You would determine it's this big, it's that big, it's this small, it's that. Then there's shape. You know, what is the actual shape of the actual feeling? Then there's the intensity. You know, is it, oh, it's really intense. It's like a spear going into my gut. Well, no, there's no intensity whatsoever. Well, is that intensity steady or does it alter? Does it vary? And is there a movement or duration to it? Yeah, it feels like it's moving into me like this, and then it stops, and then it moves in, and then it stops. Is there a vibration to it? Now, this one I have changed. Pressure, heat. The reason I've changed it is if you have pressure, is there any pressure to the feeling? None at all. Oh yeah, it really feels like a 10-ton boulder is sitting on my gut. And the other distinction, heat, if you ask is it hot or is there heat, all you're going to get is yes or no. So I've changed it in your submodality sheet and it says, is it hot, warm or cold? So now at least I'm getting greater descriptors. So is it hot, warm or cold? And then the weight. How much does it weigh? So now we have all the submodalities. We have the V, we have the A, we have the K. So they're the kinesthetics. So this is how we use this now. So this is called a like-dislike. So this looks similar. There's V, A, K, A, D. So we get all of our submodalities. So if you imagine, they are all the V's, they're all the A's, they're all the K's, and I won't talk about this until the very end because it's sometimes apt to confuse. So I'll just hold that till the very end. So what we have is we get all the V submodalities, all the A and all the K, and so we get the food that we love but we no longer want. So we're getting whatever it is, chocolate, let's say. What does it look like? Get a picture of that. Is it black and white colour, near or far, bright or dim, moving or still, panoramic or framed, etc. And then we write all these things down on our sheet. Then we say, so, are there any sounds associated with this picture? Yes. It's really loud. It's got a nice clear quality to it, etc. So we ask all those submodalities questions. So now we have the A. Then we say, where do you feel it in your body? I feel it there. Okay, what is the shape of it? What is the size of it, etc. Now we've got our K's. So now we've mapped out the food or the drink that we no longer want. Now we need another lot of submodalities. And those submodalities are something like chocolate, looks like chocolate, same colour as chocolate, but you would never ever eat it. And we do the same thing. And we map out those submodalities. Now here is how you do the change work. What you do is you grab that picture, that very first picture, and instead of these submodalities, what submodalities do you use?
The second one.
Use those submodalities. So you grab that picture and change it to all of these submodalities. And it just does that. Let me give you a visual demonstration of this. So let's say that's your chocolate. So that might be the picture that you get for chocolate. So you get something that looks like chocolate, but you would never ever eat it. So you basically install the submodalities of that into this, and there's no way that you would ever eat that. Sorry for me being crass, but I want to make a point. So
We're assuming we've never been to a Heston Blumenthal restaurant.
Yeah.
So basically, this is what the process actually looks like. So we get something that we don't want to eat, and that's, let's say that's the first picture that comes up when we think of French fries or chips. And then what we do is we come up with another picture, and maybe it's, maggots or something along those lines. But here is the important point and the distinction. This is bright and colourful, and let's say the picture is quite panoramic, but it's small. Then we have this, which is clearly framed and black and white and dark. So what we want is this original picture to kind of look like that. So what we'll do is we'll map that across. So we map it across, and then we change that modality. And when we do that, that's when the shift happens. So here are the actual steps in order to make this happen. First of all, you've got to get in rapport. That's the very first thing that we do. We're about to do an exercise. So you have to build a level of safety and trust. Then we identify what is the food that they want to change. The third point is that we calibrate. Now this is the first time I'm really going into calibration. what we do is we calibrate the food because it's invisible, really. Some people say, I like it, I love it, but what does that mean? So we say on a scale of 0 to 10, we've got to put a measure on this. 10, you totally love the food. 0, you don't. What's the first number that springs to mind? Most people, if they love the food, it's going to be up around here somewhere. Could be 8, 9, 10. Some people give you 11 or 12. But it's going to be up high, so you record that. Then you create a picture of the like. So now you've got a picture of the like, whatever it is, and elicit the submodalities of the like. And I'll move the chair. So now we get the picture. Oh, sorry, before that we break state. Now, when we've got this picture and these submodalities, we're about to elicit this picture and those submodalities. So we want to break the state because the person's going to be in neurologically. Here is what actually technically is happening. When we are eliciting this picture and getting those submodalities, let's say most of your associations around this food are lighting up here. So let's say at the back of your prefrontal cortex, that's where your neurons are all firing off. So they've got to be active because that's where all the memories of this is. There might be perhaps some parts over here. And so you've got some going off here, some going off here. What you want to do when you get the next picture is you want to stop that from happening and stop that from happening. So you break the state. Real simple way to do that is that you simply say, can you smell popcorn? Now, the moment someone then goes like that, smelling something that doesn't exist, they're going to go, no, I can't smell anything. Don't be surprised if you hear, yes, I can. Because it's incredible what the imagination can do. But the purpose of this is just simply to break the state. Now, you can use, can you smell popcorn? Because it's weird, it's unusual. You won't get, unless you're coaching in cinemas, you won't get that smell. You can also say, love your shoes. That can break a state. You can also say, did you gas? You know, you can say anything to break the state. And that's the only purpose of it, is to break that state. Because they'll open their eyes, typically. They will, are you nuts? You don't have to tell them why you did that. You just say, can you smell popcorn? Now, if they say yes, you say good. If they say no, you say good. Doesn't matter. So now you've broken the state. Now you decide the dislike picture, but it's got to be close to the qualities. When I say qualities, it's got to be close to the like. This is the key. So you can't get chocolate and then say, what don't you like? I don't like bacon. It looks nothing like chocolate, unless you fry it up so dark that it gets really close. But it looks nothing like chocolate. So what you want is you want the brain to, when it sees chocolate, it instead kind of sees that instead. And when this works, when it's effective, when you do it properly, that person will no longer have that food. Now, even though we can use some disgusting things, that example was disgusting, they don't have to be disgusting. The disclaimer is this: you just don't want them to say, yeah, sure, I'll have bacon, or I'll have chocolate. Either way is fine, because they'll still keep eating the chocolate. But it might taste like bacon. So, from that perspective, you want them to go, no way, Jose. Here's my little test. If I paid you $1 million to eat it, would you eat it? And if you get people going, they're thinking about it. Yeah? If you get people going, it's working. That's great. That's the sort of result that you actually want in this process. So what you've done, you've broken the state. You now have the other picture, whatever that might be. So it's gone from chicken to a dog. And so you get the submodalities of the dog, which are those. Now, the process is quite simple. You break the state again because now you're about to move those over to there. So these submodalities just move there. So you are just basically grabbing that picture, but you are using those submodalities. Keep it simple, guys. That's it. That's all you're wanting to do. You have the picture of the like, but the submodalities of the dislike. That's the outcome. Some people, all they really need to know is what is the final outcome, and they can do this simply. So if you're that person, then you already know how to do this. But what we want to see is we want to see it demonstrated. Okay? So we know what we're doing. I've taken you through the process. You know why it works. But what you want to see now is it actually demonstrated so you can hear how it plays out and you can see how it plays out. So I need a demonstration. The keys to this process. Now, when you are training, typically you want the steps, but you also want to know how to do the steps. And the keys are those elements that help you to do this well to make sure that it works. The key to this process is speed. You don't want to spend too long writing notes on your manual. So for instance, where it says black and white on colour, if Ante answers colour, you do not go C-O-L-O-U-R. C. That'll do. Or you could commit it to memory and not fill it out at all. But I want to do this let's call it slow way, even though we're going to do it as fast as we can. I'm going to do this the slow way so you can see how you can do it. Over time, if this becomes your craft, you will speed up through this. You will get quicker and quicker and quicker. So I've trained myself now that I don't need this sheet. I can just do it verbally because I wanted to master the art so I can travel anywhere in the world and I don't have to take many manuals with me. So we will do this the slow way and the proper way, the perfect way, and over time you can speed these things up and get better and better and better at these. So all you have to do is essentially step one. You can't really see it, but you'll get a sense of it. Is no, you're good. So the first thing is you really want to do what? What's the very first thing we're going to do? Report. So we've got to simply just use your posture and just get in rapport so the person that you're working with is feeling more comfortable. Now, by the way, when you're sitting up here, sitting up in front of everyone, expect that their comfort is going to diminish a little bit because you're being observed. Though
I'm comfortable.
You are.
Yeah.
So the thing is that from this perspective, understand that they're going to be under a little bit more pressure than would be normal. But all you have to do up here as a demonstration is block out everybody. Just focus on getting the result. That's all. Now I'm going to do the same. My job is to teach you, but also to serve Ante here. I'm not going to just take this lightly. I'm going to do this properly. And I want to demonstrate how you do it. So equally, I will block you guys out, but every now and then, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, this is why I did that, or this is just a distinction on this point. So all the processes that I do are going to take longer than when you do them. Because all you'll do is you will sit down and you will go, because you're not teaching, you're actually coaching. So here we go. So the first thing that we're going to do, even though I've done it there, what is the thing that you want to get rid of?
Pizza.
Pizza. So pizza, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 you love it, 0 you don't. What's the first number that springs to mind? 8. So then we've got a little thing at the bottom and we just mark 8. So we've got a record of it. So what I'm going to get you to do is just close your eyes and I want you now to let the first picture that springs to mind. Have you got a picture?
Yes.
Cool. And then you go like crazy. Is black and white a colour?
Black.
Is it near or far?
Near.
Bright or dim?
Dim.
Location of it, show me with your hands. Okay, so I could, right now, I could write, it's kind of like 1 foot or 30 centimetres And I put F for front, C with a cross through it, centre. You put whatever notations you want to remember. Okay, so the size of the picture. Show me the size with your hands. So it's kind of a little bit smaller than A4, is that right?
Yes.
Yep, okay. So can you see yourself in the picture? You're looking through your own eyes.
Own eyes.
Okay, when you're working with a client, you don't say associated, disassociated, unless you educated them about it. So say again, what was it?
Own eyes.
Own eyes. And is it focused or defocused?
Focused.
Is the focus changing or steady?
Changing.
Is it framed or panoramic?
Panoramic.
Is it a movie or still?
Still.
You don't ask the next question. Is it three-dimensional or flat?
Flat.
Are there any sounds that you can hear as you look at this picture?
Silent.
Okay, so you just cross that out. But you do not cross this next one out. You've got to get some kinesthetics. You can let go some auditories, but kinesthetics and visuals are key to this process. So where do you feel that your body is as you look at this picture? So it's outside of your body.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's in front of your head.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to write head, front, head F. So the size of the feeling. Okay, that's as big as
Football.
football. So that might tell me the shape, but I'm not going to make any assumptions here. So what's the shape of it?
Football.
Okay. Is there any intensity around this?
No.
Is it steady?
No.
Is there any movement?
Vibration.
Okay. Is there any pressure?
Yes.
Little or a lot?
Little.
And is it hot, warm or cold?
Hot.
And how much does this weigh?
A kilo.
Can you smell popcorn?
No.
Okay, opening your eyes. Now at that point, typically most people will open their eyes. If they don't, just tell them, open your eyes. So what happens is the moment you open your eyes, you are in another state. You're back in the world and you're in another state. So the neurology that was going off will diminish and stop, and then you want to get to the next thing. So now we've got to get something, and this is where creativity kicks in. We've got to get something that looks like a pizza in his mind's eye, but he would never ever eat it. So what looks like a pizza, and you have full permission to be as gross as you want to be. And boy, have I had some gross students over the years. Very imaginative ones. So what looks like a pizza that you would never eat?
Maybe someone who vomited up pizza and it looks like it's in a shape.
Yeah, okay. So the test. If I paid you $1 million, would you eat that?
No.
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 Okay, cool. I'll be satisfied with that. So, okay, so it's like a pizza, but it's vomit.
Yeah.
It's like they've eaten pizza and it's kind of reassembled somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a bit runnier.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And has it kind of been cooked up? Or is it kind of raw, liquid pizza?
It's just fresh on the ground.
Oh, it's fresh on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Do you notice all the sensory acuity stuff going on?
Yeah.
What are you noticing?
Bit of watery eyes,
Yep,
swallowing,
yep,
Instructing.
colour.
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Did you notice all the movement, all the jigging
Yeah.
that's happening? Yep. Very good.
Yeah.
What I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes now, and I want you to now get a picture of that liquid pizza. You got it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Is it black and white or colour?
Colour.
Is it near or far?
Near.
Is it bright or dim?
Bright.
And the location of the picture, show me with your hands. Okay, can you see it's now down? So I would just put D for down. It's still quite centred, and it's about, I'm going to call it about 1 metre away. And the size of the picture? Okay, show me the full sort of shape and size of the picture. Okay, it's kind of like is it like an A1
No, it's like a
circle. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. So, as big as what? What would you say that would be? Now, by the way, I don't really know.
Big as
have to know.
a pizza box? Like 16.
That's a damn big pizza box.
Like New York style pizza.
Okay.
Massive.
Yeah, got it. Now, I don't even have to write that down. All I have to do is remember that, yeah? And can you see yourself in the picture? You're looking through your own eyes.
Own eyes.
Okay. And is it focused or defocused?
Defocused.
Is it changing or steady?
Changing.
Is it panoramic or frame?
Panoramic.
Is it moving or still?
Moving.
Is the movie going fast, normal or slow?
Fast.
And is it three-dimensional or flat?
Three-dimensional.
Can you hear any sounds with this?
Like.
Yeah, okay. And the location of the sound, where's that coming from? Okay. And so the direction of the sound? Okay. And is it internal or external, the sound?
External.
And is it loud or soft?
Soft.
Is it fast or slow?
Slow.
Is the pitch high or low?
Low.
Any specific tonality with this?
No.
What about the quality of the sound? Is it clear or raspy?
Raspy.
So that was timbre. I asked, is it clear or raspy? Duration of the sound, is there any?
Short.
What about the uniqueness of the sound?
No.
Where do you feel this in your body? Whereabouts in your body do you feel this? And the shape of the feeling?
Circle.
And the size of the feeling?
Time.
Okay. Is there any intensity?
Yes.
Is it steady or changing?
Changing.
Is there any movement?
Yes.
How's it moving?
Like there's a pressure coming down on me.
And is there a vibration?
No.
Is there any, well, you've said pressure, so is it hot, warm or cold?
Hot.
And the weight of this feeling?
10 kilos.
When you see this picture, what do you say to yourself when you think of this picture?
That's fucked up.
Okay. Are you guys okay if we swear from time to time?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you say that? Like, say it as you say it.
That's fucked.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So, can you smell popcorn?
I smell something else.
Opening your eyes. Okay, cool. So what we've essentially done is we've got the map. We've got the pizza and then we've got the other pizza. There are some differences. And really it's the differences that are going to make the difference. Some of them are the same, but there are some differences. Now, over all these years, I have had probably a handful of people that there's only just been one thing different. But that one thing is the one thing that makes the difference. So be okay if it's a lot of things, be okay if it's just one thing. So what we're going to do now is now actually I'm going to ask you, what do we do next?
We put up the first picture.
Yep.
And get Anton to associate the submodalities of the second picture with that first picture.
That's it. It's exactly what we do. So you ready? Okay.
Yes.
So get that first picture back. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys watch. I'm just going to go through and get him. So all you have to do is go through all the dislikes now and just go, so that picture is black and white, yeah?
Yes.
Make it colour. Just give me a nod when it's colour. Now, as he's going through this process, what he's doing is he's integrating this new idea. Okay, so just give them time to go through it. This is where you can slow the process down now.
It feels like I'm forcing it, but it won't change into colour.
Keep going until it does. So just let them keep going until it does, because it will. Now, at this point, they go, oh, really? Can't you change it? Oh, wow, what's going wrong? One thing with NLP processes, you as the coach need to be confident the entire time, even when you're not. So just be confident the entire time. They need to know that you've got it together. So you need to hold that space. And I have done this, every single time I've done this, it has worked. I have never, ever had a failure with this. So you just hold fast with this, just give them time, it'll work.
Yes.
Okay, now to that colour. Just let it wash the colour into it.
Yeah.
It's colour now.
Yes.
Okay, now make it bright.
Yes.
And as it's getting brighter now, drop it and let the picture go down, 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 and move it away about 1 metre away. Can you see what I've done? I've just brought it from what was up here down to here. Okay, so it's moved down.
Yeah.
You've got it? Okay, so defocus it now.
Yes.
Okay, and turn it now into a movie.
Yes.
And make it go quite fast.
Yes.
And three-dimensional.
Yes.
Now bring on the sounds coming either side of your head. The sound is coming towards you,
Yes.
and it's external. It's
Yes.
soft. It's soft and slow.
Yes.
That same sound you heard before, and it's low pitch. It's raspy, and it's short. Now all you have to do here is just, this is a nice test time. So you say, so where do you feel it in your body now? Interesting. Okay, so it's in your stomach where the other feeling was, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it's tiny. It's like a circle, but it's tiny, yeah? You feel that feeling?
Yes.
And it has some intensity to it, but the intensity is changing.
Yes.
And now it's kind of moving down, like there's a downward pressure. You got that?
Yes.
And it's hot, but it's heavier now, about 10 kg.
Yes.
Yeah. And right now, as you're looking at this picture, you're saying in your head, "That's fucked up." Yeah. Now, if you wanted to, you could just sit there and just let them keep installing this, or you could bring them out. But what you could do is you could just test it at this point while their eyes are still closed. You could say, now, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 you totally love pizza, 0 you don't.
3.
So it's gone from 8 to 3. Okay. Don't aim to get it to 0. If it went from 8 to 7, that's still a shift. If it went to 8 to 6, that's still a shift. But it's gone from 8 to 3. So in a moment like now, you'll open your eyes very slowly, very gently, and allow yourself to see the new world, the new you, the person that becomes that person in the future, as you do. 1, 2, 3, coming back now. So, no flies on you. Excellent. So tell me, what was your experience, and explain it to everybody else so they can get an idea of what they will experience when they go through the process.
It's like taking me through a journey. It's like a journey. You lose what's happening around you, and you're inside yourself.
You're in another world.
Yeah. You just, I don't know. There's no. How can you explain it? It's just a whole different feeling when someone's guiding you through that.
And does it feel like, when I'm asking you these questions, does it feel like you're making it up, or where are these answers coming from?
I don't know, that's the first thing that pops in mind. There was a bit of resistance there.
Yeah.
What I was trying to see,
Yeah.
and I couldn't see it in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to force myself, but it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do you feel now about pizza?
No, I don't want to eat it.
Yeah.